Thank you and welcome everyone to Oracle Arena in Oakland, California, and you have the definition of a raucous crowd. The first home playoff game in 13 years for the Golden State Warriors. The fans have been ready. About an hour before the game, they started their "Let's Go Warriors" chants. They even did it through part of the national anthem. And as the PA announcer said, it's playoff time. They have just gone crazy right from the start. And their team now with a 4-point lead here in Game 3 of this series, which is tied at 1 game apiece.
Golden State sluggish off the opening tip. It's been all Dirk Nowitzki so far for the Mavericks. But when the Warriors get out in transition, this crowd is finally satiated.
Monte Ellis, who received his NBA Most Improved Player Award prior to the game, presented by NBA Commissioner David Stern. Off to a strong start. Ball knocked out of bounds. Ellis has 6 points to lead the Warriors. Nowitzki has all 8 points for the Dallas Mavericks. Nowitzki 3 for 3 from the field.
Dallas doing a good job on the offensive end. But other than Dirk Nowitzki, nobody can make a shot. They're getting the shots they want. Terry's had a couple good looks. J.Howard not able to knock him down. Stay with it. Shots will go down.
Jackson misses. And a rebound, J.Howard. Howard has played very well the first couple of games. Superb in Game 2. And the Mavericks victory. And after losing Game 1, which shocked the fans in Dallas. The Mavericks were a superb road team all season long as Howard knocks down the shot, and it's 12-10.
J.Howard and Devin Harris have been the 2 best players for the Dallas Mavericks. If Dirk Nowitzki can continue his fine start, then the Mavericks can get back on top of this series. But Golden State, they have to win both games here at the Oracle.
Nice pass, Jackson to Andres Beatrice. Beatrice getting the start here in Game 3. Al Harrington started the first 2 games. He struggled and has come off the bench.
All set up by dribble penetration. That's what the Warriors do. They spread you out. Steven Jackson right by Dirk Nowitzki, and he lays it off to Beatrice.
The Golden State Warriors, the hottest team in basketball down the stretch.
Stackhouse for 3. Nowitzki the rebound. Mavs very good at second shot opportunities early. Do not convert that time.
The Warriors can't rebound on the defensive end. And if you're going to win and win big, you better be able to take care of your defensive backboard.
Turnover. That's the first for Golden State. Howard. Oh, pretty spin move from J.Howard. And we've seen in his brief career, he raises his game at playoff time.
Playing awfully well in this series, but turnovers, again, a big factor. 38 for the Golden State Warriors in 2 games. As Richardson knocks down a jumper who's been struggling. 33 turnovers for Dallas. 24 for Golden State in Game 2. They've got to protect the basketball.
One of the biggest problems for the Mavericks is that they're usually the quicker of the teams when they play against anybody. And right now, the Golden State Warriors are just flat out first to the loose balls, first up and down the court. This Golden State team is for real.
They are so athletic, so highly skilled at every position. But of course, Dallas features MVP candidate Dirk Nowitzki. Nowitzki in the first couple of games struggling, averaging just 18.5 and 35% shooting. But off to a strong start tonight. He's got 8 points. The Mavs trail by 4.
ESPN's presentation of the NBA playoffs, brought to you by Dodge. You can take life as it comes, or you can grab life by the horns. Dodge. And Bear Advanced. In the blue bottles, better science, better results.
The Mavericks and the Warriors split the first 2 games in Dallas. Game 1 was the Baron Davis show. Davis with 33 points, 14 rebounds, 8 assists. And the Warriors stunned the Mavericks by 12. But then in Game 2, the Mavericks turn it around. It was a very physical, feisty game. Steven Jackson ejected. Baron Davis ejected. As they lost the composure, Jason Terry, J.Howard, and the Mavericks come back strong with a 13-point win to even the series. Jackson fined $50,000 for not leaving the court in a timely manner. Davis was fined individually by the team, but not by the league. Both players talking today said they let their teammates down. In fact, Baron Davis said he felt he really let Coach Don Nelson down. They apologized to their teammates and say they'll play with the same emotion, but at the same time know that they can't let those things happen, as we have an offensive foul call against Dirk Nowitzki.
There's a difference between emotion and being out of control. And with Steven Jackson being one of the most undisciplined players in the game today, he has to realize what's at stake here. Don Nelson has brought this franchise back from the brink. And now it's all on these guys tonight in a must-win situation for Golden State.
Certainly wasn't the first incident with Jackson, who's become a very talented, valuable player here, but has trouble controlling his temper, misses that shot. Rebound kept alive, and Howard comes away. Jackson perhaps fortunate he was not suspended a game for his antics.
I concur with that.
Jason Terry gets inside. Wade lost it out of bounds. Warriors ball.
Warriors are not rebounding on the defensive end. That continues. Stackhouse a huge key here. 17 points in game 2, 0 in game 1.
And Richardson knocks it down. Perhaps no player on the Warriors more psyched up for a playoff game here than Jason Richardson his entire 6-year career here in Golden State. You saw Burger King on the floor. The team's already exchanging a lot of players. This is expected to be a very physical game. Stackhouse off the bench. Misses his first shot. Here comes Davis. Richardson for 3. And a ball taken by Howard. Warriors, as we said, gave up more points than anybody in the NBA this year, but Don Nelson says as Howard knocks it down, they're better defensively than most people think. Is that the case?
They've played well this series. They've disrupted Dirk Nowitzki's rhythm.
Just because you play high-scoring games doesn't mean you're a bad defensive team. Just because you play low-scoring games doesn't mean you're a good defensive team.
Well, you'd watch some games for them during the year, and there was not a real commitment to defense, although this is a team that was in transition all season long with key injuries, with a major trade back in January that has found the right formula at the right time of year.
I think Dirk's pump faking too much. There's so many shots in this game, just let him go.
Richardson, hooked away, stolen by Howard. He had 5 steals in game 2. Great help defense. Howard inside, throws it up, and tips it in. Top of the backboard is inbounds. So Howard stayed with the play.
He has clearly been their best player. And not just on the offensive end, but defensively as well.
He's averaging 12 rebounds a game. Nice backdoor. Ellis gets inside. Tipped in by Richardson.
John, do you think this game, this pace is too fast for Dirk Nowitzki?
It's too fast for the Dallas Mavericks.
Chance of defense. They've been chanting all kinds of pro-Warrior remarks throughout this fan base that has been wonderful for years. Howard misses. This is almost one in.
Not so fast, Mr. Breen.
That was almost the Don Nelson shot from the '69 championship with the Celtics.
Eight-point lead now for Golden State. Andres Biedrins, just 21 years old, and the crowd up on its feet. Biedrins was 8 years old the last time the Warriors were in the playoffs. Now he's part of Game 3. They say it's one of the hottest tickets in Bay Area sports in years. The Golden State Warriors back in the playoffs, so they have an 8-point lead here in Game 3 late here in the first quarter. Hello again, everyone. It's obviously a great story that the Warriors are back in the postseason for these great basketball fans. But Bill, this team, they think that it's more than just being here. They believe they can win the series. Can they beat the Mavericks?
Absolutely. The Golden State is glowing in the golden light of day here, and it is absolutely a spectacular run right now. They've got to win both games right now. Their margin of error is so small.
John, I don't expect you to be as poetic, but for the Mavericks, they bounced back superbly in Game 2. What was their key adjustment?
Well, I think they defended better. I mean, this is a great defensive team. When they play good defense, their offense will take care of itself. They shot the ball better. They only shot 35% in Game 1. They got good looks. They need to continue, run the game plan, and they can beat the Golden State Warriors.
See Don Nelson in his return to Golden State. Nelson in his 43rd year in the NBA, his second stint with the Warriors, coached him from '88 to '95. He was the head coach the last time they were in the playoffs back in May of '94.
And Avery Johnson was his point guard.
Ellis pokes it out, and here's the type of the athleticism that makes them a team that, even though the numbers are high, they're pretty solid defensively.
And look at the best teams in basketball. They're always first to the loose ball. It's a game of speed and quickness. We saw Chicago run the Miami Heat out of their own building tonight. That's what's happening here.
Nowitzki foul by Ellis. Took a shot in the mouth. Offensive rebounding has been key in the early going.
Again, another good look. Jerry Stackhouse just 3 for 15 coming into this game. These guys have got to knock down open looks.
They do have 5 offensive rebounds, but you mentioned Stackhouse scoreless in game 1, had a very strong game 2, but consistently not been able to hit the shots.
And that's been a major problem for Jerry throughout the course of his career.
Jackson, meanwhile, has done a very good job on Nowitzki in this series. Harris hesitates and still knocks it down.
That's the shot. Devin Harris, if he can consistently knock down, will become a big-time player in this league, because no one, maybe Leandro Barbosa, faster than him with the basketball.
Well, there's a lot of guys, you know, T.J. Ford very fast. This guy Monte Ellis can get it done.
Davis knocks it in. So strong.
Baron Davis, one of only 5 players in the history of the NBA playoffs to have back-to-back triple-doubles.
Howard off the mark. Nowitzki, another offensive rebound. Davis, of course, played his earlier playoff appearances with the Hornets, both in New Orleans and Charlotte. Not in the postseason the last couple of years, but he has been playing some superb basketball since he got back from a knee injury. Back pass stolen. 3-on-2. Richardson. The extra pass. Richardson hits it through.
Controlled chaos. The Golden State Warriors. Any shot you get, take it.
I have been in a lot of buildings, Mike, big events. This is special tonight here.
Alley-oop to Stackhouse.
Whoa. And that momentarily silences, because the roof would have come off.
Wow. When was the last time the crowd sat down?
Talk about a quick turnaround. But overall, a superb start for the Warriors. Again here on their home floor, 30-11, tied for the 6th best home record in the NBA. Baron Davis, a big part of it. They're in his 2nd year at Golden State.
Welcome back to Oakland. The Warriors lead by 9 over Dallas as we get ready for the 2nd quarter. I'm Jim Gray. Very pleased to be joined by the Commissioner of the National Basketball Association, David Stern. David, this is the first playoff game here in Oakland and Golden State in 13 years. Describe for the fans this atmosphere.
Oh my goodness, they've been suffering, these fans, for a while, and this is like they won the finals just getting into this game. The tickets are being scalped. That's terrible. The parking lot is filled, and we're setting a record here for the most people squeezed into a building in the history of California basketball. Standing room only. So it's very good for these great fans.
David, let me discuss a couple of the issues with you. First, let's start with Steven Jackson. He was fined $50,000 by the NBA today. What was the determining factor that you made, making it a monetary fine instead of a game suspension or more?
Actually, that was made back home, but you know, I'm assuming that that's what fit the crime. This is the most we've ever fined anybody.
Do past incidents come
in such a situation?
Do past incidents come into play in this?
Ask me that again?
Past incidents, do they come into play in this?
No, but they will the next time if it happens again.
I want to ask you about Joey Crawford. He is no longer with the NBA for this playoff season. He's been suspended. Is that a death sentence, or will he be able to be reinstated?
I hope he will be able to be reinstated. We'll talk to Joey at the end of the season.
Commissioner, also today, or yesterday, Clay Bennett, the new owner of the Seattle Supersonics, told the Seattle Convention Bureau that a likely destination if they leave, is Las Vegas. Your reaction to that?
I don't think he said that.
Well, his spokesman reconfirmed it. So if he didn't say it, or the word coming out of there is that's what they would like to do. What is your reaction?
By tomorrow, they're going to be withdrawing that.
So that will not be where the Sonics go.
The Sonics are working as hard as they possibly can to stay in Seattle.
Final thought here, the draft lottery. We've seen teams at the end of the year. There's been a lot of complaining about teams losing game and positions. Are you going to tweak that at all?
Going on here. Get your fans back to the action.
They're seeing the action.
I want to hear Bill Walton and Barry and
That's a first. You want to hear, Bill?
Well, not that much. Actually, Breen and Barry.
David, thank you for your time. We appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, Jim. Thank you as we give that second quarter. In a 10-point lead right now for Golden State. Davis hits inside, can't finish. Richardson there. Richardson, one of the best rebounding guards in the NBA. He's got 12 points already.
And what we're seeing from the Golden State Warriors is competitive greatness. And what we get from David Stern at his best in the toughest of moments. And that's what the Warriors are going to need right here to try to finish off this great Dallas Maverick team that looks stunned right now, John.
Well, that's 3 offensive rebounds for Jason Richardson. And the problem is the Dallas Mavericks continue to switch all pick and rolls. They can't stop dribble penetration. You can't ask Desana Jop to stop Steven Jackson or Baron Davis from getting into the lane. Once they get into the lane, that opens up offensive rebounds.
This has been an offensive rebound clinic by both teams. Amazingly, Dallas, which has doubled up on Golden State in the offensive rebounds, they only have half the number of points in the paint as the Warriors.
Terry hits a couple of free throws. Avery Johnson saying what makes Golden State so tough is you can't zone in on one guy. They've got a number of guys who can put up big numbers as Jackson throws up a brick. Whoa. And here comes Stackhouse. Harris got whacked. Let's see if they call it on Jackson. Yes. And that's Steven Jackson's second foul.
But John, as Don Nelson told us today, he learned the small ball game playing for the Boston Celtics. The drive into the lane there, the feet get all tangled up. Devin Harris, easy play to call by the officials. Steven Jackson will go to the bench and be always supportive and always positive. Don Nelson trying to get these guys over the hump of a very difficult part of their career.
You mentioned that small ball, and that was interesting what he said. It really started back in Boston when the Smalls played the bigs. And he said the Smalls, even with the great Bill Russell on the bigs, they always beat them.
Harris tied up, gets it out. Jason Terry, and Terry can't connect. Richardson yet another rebound. Already 6 boards here in the first half.
But Nelson is a master at dictating the terms of the conflict. He's done it time and time again over the course of his should-be Hall of Fame career as the second winningest coach in the history of the NBA.
Richardson now with 14 points. He said when they clinched a playoff berth on the final day, he got very emotional, said he wasn't going to sleep for days. Devin George has come in for Dallas. And a foul call on Baron Davis. That's his first. And for the Warriors, their 4th team foul already.
Jason Richardson, who came into this game just averaging 13.5, not even a factor in the Game 1 victory. He's got 14 already tonight. What's going to happen to the Mavericks if this guy goes off? And he's capable of a huge night.
The amazing thing is, if you say a guy's averaging 13.5, for most teams, that's pretty good. For this team, in Game 1, Baron Davis had 33, 14, and 8 in a 97-point game.
Terry way off the mark.
3-point shooting just awful for the Dallas Mavericks.
Richardson knocks down another. 17 points in 14 minutes, and Golden State with a 15-point lead. Here comes another standing ovation.
Enjoying the game in Oakland. Raider fans are wondering, will that first man you saw, Jamarcus Russell, be the #1 overall pick of the Oakland Raiders in the 72nd NFL Draft? Coverage begins 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific on Saturday. For now, hoops in Oakland. Mike Breed.
Chris, thank you. Here at the Oracle Arena. And right now, 38-23. Now, we've got a long way to go in this series, guys, obviously. But if the Warriors should happen to beat the Mavericks, you could make claim numerically that it would be the biggest upset in NBA playoff history, because Dallas won 25 more games during the regular season. 67 wins, As we have an offensive foul call on Sagana Jock. 67 wins to 42 wins. But in a lot of ways, Golden State is better than a 42-40 team. You see some of the biggest upsets. Only 2 other times did a number 8 defeat number 1, but that was both those times it was a best-of-5 series. Easier done that way. But you look at the Warriors with all the injuries, with the trade. Oh, Davis, pretty move. Can't get it to fall. This is not your normal number 8 seed, correct?
Mike, Baron Davis and Jason Richardson missed a combined 50 games on the season. And they made a mid-season trade that changed everything. They got rid of the slow plotters. They sent them over to Indiana. They opened it up. Don Nelson completely changed the outlook of the team. And right now, this is as hot a team as there is in the NBA. They went 16-5 down the stretch. And it would have been more than that, except Baron Davis missed a game here or then with that trick knee of his.
They were 9 games under 500 in early March and had the toughest remaining schedule in the NBA. They won 9 of their last 10. Nowitzki misses it, gets his own rebound, back up, gets it again, left-handed, puts it in. Where they're letting him play, there's a lot of contact in there.
That's not contact, Mike. This is a bunch of little guys out there.
Davis has Devin George on him now. Davis kicks it back out. Al Harrington coming off the bench tonight. It's inside, stripped but fouled. And Harrington will shoot a couple. All right, let's see how bad the contact was.
Well, Dirk Nowitzki trying to do anything to get this club going. The only guy on the offensive end really with any success tonight. Battles 3 times, finally gets one. Gets nailed, Bill. That's a foul.
If you get hit by a guy who's basically half your size, why wouldn't Shaq shoot a free throw on every possession?
Shaq's not here. That was a foul on Dirk Nowitzki.
There's nothing in the rule book that says anything about size of player that commits the personal foul.
Doesn't matter how big you are.
Hey, you know it's how big you play.
Back to the Warriors in that 16-5. They won at Detroit, at Phoenix, at Houston, Dallas twice, at Denver. I mean, they beat some big-time teams. This team is red hot. Not only did the trade change this team, there was more to the guys getting healthy because they were only 19-20 before the trade. They were 20-3 and 20 after the trade.
Well, obviously they did very well against Dallas, beating them 3-0 in the season series. But there wasn't a team in the West that wanted to play them in the first round. And Howard can't connect. Ball tipped out. Jason Terry.
Avery Johnson has finally realized that Eric Dampier and Sagana Jock are not going to be found in this series.
Davis on Nowitzki. Bad pass stolen by Ellis. Here's Baron Davis inside. Misses it, but Matt Barnes right there. 44-27.
John Barry, do you want to foul on that play there?
Absolutely not.
But 3 Mavericks don't run back.
You can't give up on the play. Get back and get that rebound.
Howard. Dampier tips it out. Devin George line drive. Not even close. Nowitzki trying to come up with it and does. And a reach-in foul on Jason Richardson. That's his second.
Dirk Nowitzki isolated at the top of the key. Can't get it done. The turnover, and Baron Davis gets hit on the way to the hoop, but with no Mavericks in transition defense, this is just unacceptable for the NBA's best team in the regular season.
You know, we talk about their defense. They tend to take risks, but they were #1, the Warriors, #1 in the league in steals during the regular season.
Well, that was a great double team there by Barnes. Came over, forced a turnover from Dirk Nowitzki. But this Dallas Maverick team has got to start hitting shots. 0 for 7 from the three-point line, Mike.
Richardson comes out. We'll remind you tomorrow on TNT. Game 4 between the Pistons and the Magic, followed by Game 3 between the Cavs and Wizards. Coverage begins at 2:30. ABC this Sunday, pair of Game 4. Chicago looking to eliminate Miami, followed by Phoenix, now up just 2-1 against the Lakers. Coverage begins at 12:30. And NBA TV Monday, Game 4 of the Cavs-Wizards series. Coverage begins at 7.
Who'd you say was the #1 seed? Because the game I'm watching tonight, I'm a little bit befuddled. Who is it, Bill?
The Mavericks have to be extremely concerned. They've come back with Eric Dampier, who's done nothing in the entire series.
Barnes quickly. They're just pouring it on right now.
That's what the Warriors do. Spread you out, dribble penetration, hit shooters. This place is going nuts. They got an 18-point lead.
Terry. Nowitzki takes his time. Here comes Jackson again. They'll look to push and score even on makes. Jackson gets inside and flips it in. That's his second field goal. They're shooting 60% from the field against a Mavericks team that was one of the better defensive teams in the league this year.
The question for Golden State, can they sustain? Is this for real, or are they just feeding off this incredible crowd?
Terry rattles it in.
The Mavericks are hovering around 30% shooting, 37%. And the Golden State Warriors gave up 46% shooting all year. They were a porous defensive team, and the Mavericks still can't knock down shots.
Jackson's pass stolen, trying to force it in. Dampier comes up with it.
Never jump to pass.
They'll let to Steve Nash. He does pretty well when he jumps.
He doesn't jump very high.
Nowitzki has Harrington on him. Inside, nice pass from Dirk Nowitzki. Nowitzki 16 points, 7 boards, and an assist. But his team down by 14.
And the Mavericks are not going to go away. It's got to happen here on the defensive end.
Extra pass, Matt Barnes. And Devin George the rebound. George, of course, brought to Dallas for his playoff experience, winning championships with the Lakers as a role player. And a 3-second violation called,
oh my gosh,
against the Dallas Mavericks.
What is Eric Dampier doing, getting called for a 3 seconds in this situation?
Dampier does not like the call, but they turn it over for the 8th time. Golden State's defense pretty impressive.
The old face guard, the defensive stopper, Al Harrington. Nice pass and the layoff.
ESPN's presentation of the NBA playoffs, brought to you by State Farm. Great service, great rates. It's all here. Nobody takes care of you like State Farm. And Mitsubishi Motors, driven to thrill.
Back in Oakland are Wendy's Inside the Game, featuring the athleticism of Golden State.
The speed and quickness in almost every position. Baron Davis kicking ahead. Steven Jackson finding teammates. Monte Ellis finishing strong. Dirk Nowitzki caught in the air time and time again with errant passes. Baron Davis can't finish, but the relentless attack of the offensive glass by the UCLA legend Matt Barnes.
You see the Golden State Warriors #1 in all 3 of these categories: fast breaks, steals, and points off turnovers. They're shooting 58% because they're laying the ball in. Good Warrior defense, totally disrupting the Dallas Mavericks offense right now.
Well, Don Nelson calls them a bunch of schmoes affectionately as Ellis lost it. But these bunch of schmoes enjoy this style, and they are a confident bunch right now. Part of it, again, is they really believe that they can beat the Mavericks in this series. Often in playoff series, teams hope they can.
You've been reading the shirts here, Mike. I'd bring Jason Richardson back immediately.
Terry with a hand in his face. Here comes Jackson again, looking to push every time. Harrington off the mark.
Al Harrington is shooting 18% in the series.
Turnover. 4th turnover for Golden State. Richardson getting a rest, much deserved after his 17-point explosion to start the game.
Harrington has not made a 3-pointer in the series, and I talked to him today, and he said, I'm not shooting threes anymore. I'm going to the basket, and here he is launching again.
He's thinking too much, though, John.
Yeah, well, you can tell. He's not shooting that in rhythm, and he is thinking about it, and that's what you do when you struggle with your shot.
He's 4 of 23 from the field. He was one of the players acquired back on January 17th, an 8-player deal with Indiana. The 2 key players were Al Harrington and Steven Jackson.
Hey, I hope people aren't buying into the Don Nelson Lou Holtz impersonation that they can't beat anybody, because this team is for real.
Richards with the block, but they call a foul. Crowd doesn't like it. Beatrice doesn't like it. And Jason Terry will go to the line.
But what a great story, Andres Beatrice from Riga, Latvia. That's a great block.
That's a great call. Right on the elbow, Bill. Are you serious?
That's a great block. I'm sorry.
Man. He whacked his own. Good night.
Wait. If you block the shot and the other guy's arm comes into you, that's a foul on the defender.
Wait, Mike, Beatrice is so much bigger than Jason Terry. It's not a foul.
Terry, it's the first. You're talking about Beatrice, and again, he's only 21 years old. A first-round pick back in 2004. He's just the second Latvian to play in the NBA. The first guy was a guy by the name of Gunnar Zvetra, who only played in 13 games back from Minnesota in the early 90s. And he's become a real force this year. What a season that he had. First in the NBA in personal fouls, but third in field goal percentage, 11th in rebounds. He had a terrific year. Jackson traveled. That's their 6th turnover.
Steven Jackson is not the facilitator of this team. He's a finisher. He's a spot-up shooter. He's a 1 or 2 dribble guy, jump shooter. Let Baron Davis do that. Let Monta Ellis set the table. Jackson with far too many turnovers already tonight.
John, I know we're in the Oracle Arena, but I think you have misheard everything I've said tonight.
Nowitzki way off on the bank attempt. Michael Petrus has checked in for Golden State. And here's Ellis. Good defense from Nowitzki. Jason Terry spots up for 3. Big bucket. And Terry makes it a 9-point game. A 9-0 run for the Mavericks.
So you've got Baron Davis and Jason Richardson sitting out right now, and the Warriors have lost their offensive flow and rhythm.
Here's Barnes spinning. Matt Barnes. He's been a big help off the bench all season long. A real surprise. Came to training camp without a contract, and he's had an instrumental role.
Good no call there. Jason Terry trying to take the flop. Tim Donaghy not having any part of it.
Very experienced referee crew tonight as Stackhouse misses. We've got Joe Forte, Danny Crawford, and Donaghy. Ball poked away.
All the long rebounds that Dallas is getting at the free throw line, the guards have got to do a better job. Strong finish by Josh Howard in the hoop and 1.
Howard drawing the foul on Petrus. Little contact afterward as well, and we'll have a timeout.
The Mavericks to keep this under 10 going into the half. They'll be in good shape, guys.
Just over 2.5 remaining. Second quarter of game 3. The series tied at 1 apiece. Right now, the Warriors up by 9.
Here with the SportsCenter 30 at 30 update. Other playoff activity, Chicago wins in Miami, and they lead the series now 3-0. No team has ever come back from that deficit. They'll try to complete the sweep Sunday on ABC. The Nets beating the Raptors in New Jersey, 102-89 the final score there. They lead 2-1 in the series. Kidd with his 10th career playoff triple-double. In other news, Marcus Camby of the Denver Nuggets has been named the NBA's Defensive Player of the Year. 3.3 blocks per game, led the entire NBA. Now back to you guys. Mike, Bill, John.
All right, Fred, thank you. Avery Johnson watched his star player, Dirk Nowitzki, really struggle in Game 1, played better in Game 2. We asked him what he expects from him in Game 3.
Well, just be yourself. Dirk's one of the top players in the game, and when he's aggressive and he's on top of his game, he's hard to challenge. And but more than anything, just play both ends, offense and defense, and do what we need you to do. But we're not looking for him to have a huge game and we're not successful. It's a team game.
You know, John Barry, he also had some advice that is different for a star player than for others.
Well, I asked Avery if he thought Dirk was maybe getting rid of the basketball too quick as Baron Davis knocks one down. And he said, this is where I want Dirk to get to. If you get doubled, score it. If you get triple team, pass it. And if you get single coverage, kill him.
Well, Nowitzki's got 16 points already.
How interesting of Don Nelson, though, to say that Dirk Nowitzki was the second best player he's ever coached after Steve Nash.
Of course, had those 2 in Dallas. Baron Davis gets inside. Can't finish, however. Harrington right there. That's a way to help. Oh, they call a foul as well. Where Harrington, big sigh of relief just to get one to go down.
Well, they bring Baron Davis back, and that settled down the offense a little bit. Baron Davis, one of the players who was intimately involved with the implementation of the instant replay rule back from the 2002 NBA playoffs against Tracy, McGrady, and than the Orlando Magic.
Harrington, as we said, came over from Indiana. Chris Mullen of the Warriors, the executive vice president of basketball operations, he'd been after Harrington, wanted to get him here, felt he would fit perfectly with Don Nelson. Mullen played with him, was a teammate with him with the Pacers. And Harrington, of course, has fit in very well, as do a lot of players for Nelson. It's fun to play in his system, especially when you come from a system in Indiana where it was so controlled. That's no offense to Rick Carlisle, what he ran, but it is a complete different system, and some of the players really like the change.
Mike, I'm amazed that both Chris Mullen and Don Nelson have been turned away at the Basketball Hall of Fame. That is an absolute embarrassment.
Well, hopefully it's only temporary. 13-point lead for the Warriors. A foul. It's going to go, I believe, against Harrington on his ball denial.
Yes, Harrington bumped Stackhouse coming across that lane. The wild pass to the other side of the court had nothing to do with where the foul took place. Stackhouse will go to the line. They are playing baseball right next door at the McAfee.
Right next door, yeah. That would have been a heck of a 2-2 pitch right there. This is a guy that's got to get going. Jerry Stackhouse struggled big time. Did have a decent game too, but he's got to get going for this team.
Reminder, want to hear what the coaches and players have to say about tonight's game? Log on to NBA.com immediately following the game for live press conferences and video highlights of the Mavericks and the Warriors exclusively on NBA.com. 11-point game, minute and a half to play here in the second. Richardson wide open for three. And Barnes the rebound.
Richardson was out for so long, he lost the hot hand.
Barnes the runner, way off. And a foul down low. Will go against the Mavericks.
The Dallas Mavericks are being completely out-hustled right now, Bill. Those are just hustle plays. Al Harrington and Greg Buckner were both about 8 feet away from that basket, and Al Harrington went harder than Buckner. He gets a foul. This Warrior team wants it more right now.
One of the problems that the Mavericks have, John, is that they employ a number of specialists like the San Antonio Spurs, but the way basketball is changing with Phoenix, with Golden State, with the Chicago Bulls, who are going to eliminate the Miami Heat within a few days here. It's all guys who can play, and the faster, the smaller, the more skilled, the better are you off. But when you bring in guys who only do one thing, like just rebound, or just shoot, or just dribble, or just defend, you're going to hurt yourself big picture.
Harrington 1 of 2. The largest lead was 18.
Zone defense here. Back it in. Let's see if those Mavericks can knock something down from the perimeter. Besides this guy.
Nowitzki, back shot won't go. Dampier, strong rebound. Again, gets it, knocked loose. And a loose ball foul. Crowd doesn't like it, but Dampier, the former Golden State Warrior, will go to the line.
Could that have been a travel there? It looked like he went up, shot the ball, and caught his own air ball. That's a travel.
But if it was touched.
If it was touched, no.
If it was touched, that would be a negation of your fine point, John.
Let's see if they did hit it here, Bill.
Dampier strong inside. He goes up.
No, nobody touched it. That's a traveling
violation. You're right on it, John.
Dampier carrying the booze as he knocks down the first free throw. Eric Dampier, of course, usually got his big contract with some of the years he played here at Golden State. This crowd, it just, again, we've said this a couple of times, it's a great basketball town. And as Commissioner David Stern said, well, they've had some tough years, but they've always been vocal. And now they're just so behind this team. And this atmosphere is as good as it gets.
And that championship in '75, courtesy of John Barry's father, Rick Barry.
Dampier the rebound.
I remember it well, Bill. 6-year-old ball boy.
Stackhouse.
I remember it very well. One of the great triumphs ever.
Terry, all poked out. Here comes Barnes. Barnes back to Richardson. All inside to Barnes. Oh, excellent hustle from Jason Terry to knock it out of bounds.
Great block, Jason Terry.
I don't like what the Warriors just did there. You've got to finish that off.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm talking about, not giving up on a play.
But don't ever let the show get in the way of the game.
Terry with the block shot. 40 seconds left in the half. 20 on the shot clock.
Big 40 seconds here. Dallas needs a stop and a score on the other end. Get it under double digits and make a run in the second half.
Beatrice inside draws the foul. Dampier arguing the call. And Beatrice will shoot 2.
Not a bad guy to foul, guys.
He is one of the worst free throw shooters.
Thanks. I'm glad you said it, Mike.
We talked about the young man's progress this year. He was 5th in the voting for most improved, but he shoots just 52% from the line this year, and that's a big improvement. You know who helped him? Dirk Nowitzki's coach, Holger Gerschwander, helped him this year in trying to improve his free throw shooting.
That looked like a Tiger Woods stinger right there, a 2-iron stinger that barely got over the rim.
They're talking about Andres Beatrice signing a contract in the neighborhood of $10 million a year.
Who's talking about that?
As an upcoming free agent, they're talking about paying this guy huge dollars.
Pretty good right there.
That would be in your face. And please, what is the kibosh?
It's an expression. Jerry Seinfeld on it. The crowd on its feet again. Stackhouse hits a 3. Jerry Stackhouse ties the game. Or makes it within 10, excuse me.
Don't they really?
I'm looking at the...
That's okay, man. Last shot of it, first half here with Baron Davis, the UCLA legend.
I've never seen a 13-point shot, but...
Baron Davis gets inside. Foul! Baron Davis with a chance for a 3-point play.
How did he get that ball through there?
And that's Nowitzki's 3rd foul.
And so while that 3-pointer by Stackhouse was large, this comes back and gets the crowd so fired up leading into the half.
They've just taken the momentum back there. Another great play by Baron Davis. He could go up on the left side of the basket, but he goes to the other side, draws the contact, puts the English on it.
He tricked him. Dirk thought he was going left, and he came right back and snuck it by him. And that's what the great offensive attackers do.
Davis, of course, when he's been healthy, he's one of the best point guards in the NBA in terms of scoring and distributing. But he's rarely healthy. Over the past 5 years, he's misses an average of 26 games a season. Sometimes more, sometimes a little less. But when he's healthy, and he is right now, knee problem, still a little bit sore from the surgery and back in March. But boy, is he playing with confidence. Final seconds of the half. Howard on the drive. Did not get it off in time. No, they wave it off. They'll review it, but that looked like the right call. And what a first half for the Golden State Warriors. Their first home playoff game in 13 years. Here's Howard. Has it in his hand. There's the red light still in his hand. And Joe Forte called it no basket on the floor, and I'm sure that'll be the ruling once they look at the replay.
The Warriors better be ready to start this 3rd quarter, because this is where this series is going to be determined.
Baron Davis, meanwhile, 12 points for the Warriors. He's with Jim Gray.
All right, Mike, 12 points here for Baron Davis. Baron, how much of this is emotion and being carried by this crowd?
That's a lot of it is emotion. That's how we play. You know, we use the crowd and we use our energy to get out and scrap and get fast break points, and that's what's happening tonight.
What are you going to have to do to sustain this here in the second half?
I think we just got to maintain our lead, keep the pressure on them. As long as we're the aggressor, I think that the calls and the momentum will still be in our favor.
Baron, how have you been able to regain your composure and come out here and play this well after what happened in Game 2 being thrown out?
My grandmother said she was going to whoop me if I got kicked out again.
Guess that won't happen, Bill Walton and Mike Green.
All right, Chip, coming up to the halftime show. Defending champs on the ropes. Chicago wins again tonight. Meanwhile, New Jersey also taking the advantage in that series. Mel Kiper's top 5 with the NFL draft coming up tomorrow. Halftime here in Oakland. A packed crowd waiting for so long for their first playoff game in 13 years. They watch their team gain a 13-point lead.
Welcome to the Toyota Halftime Show.
Well, Dirk Nowitzki and the rest of the Dallas Mavericks fighting both the Golden State Warriors and the crowd. Dirk has 12 at halftime. But the Oracle Arena in Oakland, California, the joint is jumping and full of gold and full of energy. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to our ESPN NBA studios. Fred Hickman alongside Greg Anthony. And, Greg, when you look at this Golden State team in the first half, the one word that jumps out to you is transition.
It really was, and they did a great job of forcing turnovers. Not something that they're noted for, but they did a good job of putting Dallas in tough situations and turning those turnovers into scoring opportunities. Great effort, great energy. Remember, they didn't have Al Harrington in the starting lineup. They went with a smaller, even smaller lineup, and they did a good job, again, of forcing those turnovers and converting once they got out in transition. Helped to build them a nice, comfortable lead at this stage of the game. It'll be interesting to see if Dallas will be able to recover and take a little bit better care of the basketball. Those 8 turnovers, it's not that they had so many, but they were all converted for the most part for scoring opportunities. They want to take care of the basketball and continue to try to impose their will on Golden State, who looks real good right now in the first half.
Well, speaking about imposing one's will, the Chicago Bulls certainly do that in their series against the Miami Heat. The defending champions, Dwayne Wade, Shaquille O'Neal, looking to get their Heat back into the series. They were down 2-0 when it started. Third quarter, Wade drives, Tuffy.
Oh, beautiful play. And again, Dwayne Wade, not the Dwayne Wade of old, but still reasonably effective.
But the Bulls do fight back, don't they? Ben Gordon with the drive, hits the free throw. The Bulls cut the lead to 4, and then Heinrich with the maneuver.
Kirk Heinrich, who really had struggled the first 2 games of this series, got going tonight, played very well on the offensive end.
Gets to the rack and then goes from long distance as the Bulls go on to take a 6-point lead, and they win the game 104-96 to take a prohibitive 3-0 lead in the series. Toyota moving forward now, and we look ahead to Sunday, which will be game 4 in this series, possibly the final game, as the Bulls are in a really great position to sweep. Will they get it done Sunday?
I think they can get it done. I think they've now figured out that the bottom line is the Miami Heat cannot guard them. I mean, if you look at the 3 games collectively, they've pretty much been able to get whatever shots they want. For the most part, they've dominated on the backboard as well. Double-digit victories there in each of the 3 games. And they're also making their free throws, something that really came back to bite Miami in this game. Only 16-35 from the free throw line. You're not going to win a lot of games when you shoot that poorly, particularly when your 2 best players don't convert from the free throw line. But ultimately, when you look at it from Pat Riley's perspective, you got to get one. You got to try and figure out a way to get that one game to get a little bit of confidence and try to put some doubt into the mind of the Chicago Bulls, who right now are riding a high after winning in Miami.
Yeah, of course, game 4 coming up Sunday in Miami. You can catch that on ABC at 1 o'clock. That's Toyota moving forward. And we will move forward with the rest of our halftime show in just a moment. Jason Kidd was lighting it up tonight to take on the Raptors in game 3 of that series. Was it enough? We'll find out.
The Toyota Halftime Show is brought to you by Toyota, moving forward. Welcome back to the Toyota Halftime Show.
I'm Jamarcus Russell.
Jamarcus Russell, touchdown LSU.
I'm Brady Quinn.
He's going in. Notre Dame has scored.
I'm Alan Branch.
Alan Branch came back.
I'm Paul Posluszny.
Posluszny's got him.
I'm Troy Smith.
Missed the throw. Caught, touchdown.
Definitely on the clock. ESPN's coverage begins at 11 a.m. The NFL draft's so less than a day away. Here's the pick of draft expert Mel Kiper Jr. How he thinks things are going to go. Jamarcus Russell going to Oakland, followed by Georgia Tech's Calvin Johnson to the Lions. Notre Dame quarterback Brady Quinn to Cleveland. The Bucks will go with Clemson defensive end Gaines Adams, according to Mr. Kiper Jr., and the Cardinals will select Wisconsin offensive lineman Joe Thomas. And once again, that all gets started at 11 o'clock Eastern Time on ESPN. Baseball Friday night, Red Sox and the Yankees. Round 2. They played, of course, a series last week in Fenway. Andy Pettit in the dirt gets by Posada in the 5th inning, and then Daisuke took it from there, getting Alex Rodriguez swinging in the bottom half of the 5th. And the Red Sox go on to win 11-4. The Yankees have lost 7 straight games. Back on the hardwood, the Raptors and the Nets in Jersey. First quarter, Nets up 11. Tell you what, Vince Carter had his problems in Toronto, but Greg, not so in Jersey.
No, they're not in Toronto anymore. And his jump shot and his ability to attack the rim all of a sudden seems to have come back, Fred.
circus hoop right there. Carter with 21 at that point in the game. The Nets up 44-28. Later in the second, Jason Kidd drives the lane. Nice drop to Richard Jefferson.
Oh, man, Jason Kidd has played as well as you want a point guard to play the last 3 games against the Toronto Raptors.
And then Carter finding Kidd for 3. Jason Kidd with his 10th career playoff triple-double, 16 points, 19 assists, and 16 rebounds.
Scary number.
Kidd stuff right there. The Nets go on to win and take a 2-1 series lead. And Jason Kidd, they said he had a sore left knee. Missed practice with it. Didn't look too sore to me.
He just practice. He didn't want to practice.
That's right. So Jason Kidd and crew looking very well. And there you see his career triple-double numbers and how they stack up with some of the greats. Elsewhere, Denver's Marcus Camby has been named the NBA's Defensive Player of the Year. Camby with 3.3 blocks per game, that led the league. And oh, by the way, Camby's 1.2 steals per game was tops among NBA centers. Plenty more playoff action coming up Saturday. Pistons and the Magic. Detroit can put the lights out on Orlando. Cavaliers and Wizards. Cleveland leading that series 2-0. Then tomorrow night on ESPN, Spurs and Nuggets, 8 o'clock Eastern. That series tied at 1. And the Rockets taking on the Jazz in the second half of the doubleheader, 10:30. Houston leading that series 2-1. Well, they're all even in the Golden State-Dallas series, but Golden State trying to do something about that. Baron Davis, hard to the rack. We'll have the second half call for you coming up right after this.
The Toyota Halftime Show is brought to you by Toyota, moving forward. Now it's time for the McDonald's I'm Loving It highlights. That was today's McDonald's I'm Loving It highlights.
Halftime at Game 3 from Oakland, California. It's the number 8 seed leading the top seed in the West. The Warriors 61 and the Mavericks 48 after the first 2 quarters. Hello again, everyone. Along with Bill Walton and John Barry, Mike Green with you. Well, they waited 13 years for the last playoff game in between here for these fans in Oakland, and they were not disappointed in that first half. The Warriors playing some terrific basketball. Our Gatorade Cooler Talk centers around how sometimes they make it look so easy, Bill.
Mike, fabulous basketball by the Golden State Warriors, who are playing such a delightful style. And around the cooler, it is going to be about throwing outlet passes down the middle of the floor for Dallas. Baron Davis just kicks it right ahead, and the exquisite ball movement by this dynamic Warrior squad. Baron Davis, who was the second leading scorer, just teased and toyed with anybody who tried to get in him. And then the incredible offensive rebound capabilities of the shorter Golden State Warriors team. The beautiful, unselfish ball movement. Jason Richardson led the way with 17 points for the Golden State Warriors, and now they find themselves in a situation where the third quarter becomes the most important part of these young men's basketball careers. If they don't get it done right now, they are not going to win this series.
Golden State shooting 53% from the field. All right, John, what is the Mavericks, what do they have to do to change things here?
Well, if I'm the Mavericks, I'm very concerned. I have more offensive rebounds than I do defensive rebounds. So what that tells me is I'm not shooting a good percentage, and the Warriors are shooting it too good. 53% to be exact. The Dallas Mavericks just 37%. And they're just 2 of 9 for the three-point line, 9 for 44 in 2.5 games of this series. The Dallas Mavericks are getting good shots. These guys have got to start knocking them down.
John, on your offensive rebounding point, which is very valid, the Warriors, they have given up 14 offensive rebounds, but the Mavericks are shooting 37%. So that's not a big deal. But the big deal is that the Warriors have garnered 9 offensive rebounds while they're shooting 53%.
All right, we get to start the third. John, is there a particular player for the Mavericks that has to elevate his game here in the second half?
Well, I'd like to see Jerry Stackhouse and Jason Terry. Jason Terry was huge in games 2. Jerry Stackhouse struggling. Got to get going. The Mavericks really need to do it on the defensive end, though, Mike.
And that, again, is where they've improved the most over the past several years, especially under Avery Johnson. Well, this is a typical team to defend. Harris to the basket. Good hard drive from Devin Harris for his second field goal.
Can Don Nelson, one of the game's greatest innovators ever, can he find a hot hand here? He let Jason Richardson go cold at the end of the first half. Baron Davis early on.
So Davis to the basket. How much, Bill, does Don Nelson knowledge of these Maverick players, how much does that play into his game preparation?
I believe Don Nelson is about his team. That's Celtic basketball where Don Nelson won 5 world championships as a player. Forget about what the other guys do. Just get out there and make them play your game, and that's what the Warriors are all about right now.
Nowitzki.
Tremendous defense by Steven Jackson, and Monte Ellis is off to the races again.
Here comes Ellis. Richardson, open three. Won't go. And Howard the rebound. Mavs will look to push. Nope. Howard slows it down.
Well, again, last time you saw Eric Dampier tip a ball out, he's done that 3 or 4 times. I believe if you can hit a ball that hard, grab it.
Meanwhile, Baron Davis picks up his second on a reach and foul as we check in with Jim Gray.
All right, Mike, I spoke to both coaches. First, Avery Johnson doesn't like the pace of the game. It's too fast. We're taking too many possessions. We need to slow this down, and we need to slow ourselves down. If we can do that, he feels, that will also affect the play on the defensive end and will curtail them from running. Don Nelson, on the other hand, was very happy with the pace, liked the points in the paint, will continue to pound in there and try and run the ball and get out on those fast breaks. The one thing he is concerned about is too many offensive rebounds for the Mavericks. Mike?
Beatrice running the floor. Andres Beatrice at 6'11", showing his athleticism. The $10 million man.
You scoffed at that. How much are they paying Chris Kaman for the Clippers? And who was in the playoffs?
Lead back up to 15. It's been as high as 18 in the first half. Dallas briefly led early in this game, but then the Warriors just poured it on. Howard spinning. Ellis tried to help out, instead got caught for a foul. 2 fouls on Ellis.
Andres Beatrice in transition, the ability to run the floor, the nice hands, the emphatic throwdown. They space the floor so well. This whole concept of being above the rim with the one big guy that you really play, this Golden State team, they know how to play this game.
Dampier, and a 3-second violation. Nowitzki camped in there, and that's the 9th turnover for Dallas.
But the halftime edge, points in the paint, plus 18 for Golden State. Fast break points, plus 10 for Golden State. Significant control for the Warriors.
That doesn't sound like small ball to me.
That's when you know you're really playing, when you're busting guys who are bigger.
Richardson up, under, count it, and a foul. 19 points for Richardson, and the lead up to 17.
When you got a guy who's this good and this hot, you let him go. You don't take him out. It's a 48-minute game. He's a very young guy, Mike. Hasn't played at a game of this magnitude since 2001, playing in the NCAA Final Four against the Arizona Wildcats, a game they got pounded in. And he is proud to be back here. Avery Johnson desperately in need of a timeout.
Here in Oakland, 9:27 left in the third. 18-point lead for Golden State. Playoffs are back in Oakland. Back for the first time since May 4th, 1994. And the coach back then, yes, it was Don Nelson. The team finished 50 and 32. Avery Johnson was the point guard. They lost 3 straight to Charles Barkley and the Suns. Chris Mullen had a big game, but it wasn't enough. Latrell Sprewell scored a lot, but it wasn't enough because Charles Barkley had 56. He was 11 for 11 in the first quarter when he had 27. And they eliminated the Warriors 140 to 133. Barkley, with what Don Nelson said was one of the most spectacular games he'd ever witnessed as a player, as a coach. And that was the last home playoff game before tonight.
4,741 days in between playoff games and 8 coaches. including Bob Lanier, Rick Adelman, P.J. Carlesmo, Gary St. Jean, Dave Cowens, Brian Winters, Eric Musselman, and the departed Mike Montgomery.
Golden State, they shot 58% from the field that night, had 40 assists, and they still lost the game. Jackson blocked by John. Nice defensive play on the perimeter.
Would have been a perfect time for a give and go.
Nowitzki. Soft touch from Nowitzki, who has 18.
Stephen Jackson with Desana Jop on him. Take him to the basket.
Baron Davis off the mark.
Baron Davis can get whatever he wants if Jerry Stackhouse is going to be guarding him.
Stackhouse. Yeah, a reach-in foul. Here's one of the areas where the Warriors sometimes struggle with the fouls and putting opponents early in the penalty. You don't want to do that with Dallas, one of the best free throw shooting teams in the league, second during the regular season. As Jackson picks up his third.
They can't call them all, Mike. And when you're shorter, you're coming in as a severe underdog, just lay it out there. Make the referees use that whistle.
And a blocking foul. Crowd doesn't like it, but a good call as Ellis picks up his third. So Ellis and Jackson each with 3. A host of other players have 2 apiece.
Good to see they're not falling for these flops anymore, Bill.
I don't like that kind of basketball, John.
Nowitzki, that's a 3. I don't even. Did he graze the rim? Wow. He's been struggling from downtown. Davis to the basket. He goes to the hoop with such strength and gives a stare to Nowitzki after the basket.
See, this is the quandary that Avery Johnson's in. He wants to leave a big guy out there. Dan Pierre's done nothing, so he's going with Sagana Job. But now that forces Stackhouse to play Baron Davis, and that is just an untenable matchup for the Mavericks.
Ripped down by Jackson.
I think the Warriors will give Desana Job that shot all he wants.
Inside, Ellis. Poor transition defense, and Avery Johnson is irate. Quickly calls a 20-second timeout. Johnson is so mad right now at his team as the lead equals the largest of the game.
But Don Nelson just keeps saying, shoot more and shoot with less time on the shot clock.
Everybody getting into the act. Ellis able to put it in. He's got 10. 4 players in double figures. (72-54). Golden State again taking it to the Dallas Mavericks. The Mavericks this year 67 victories, 67-15. 6th best record in NBA history. They had a magical regular season. But boy, do they have their hands full with these Warriors.
And no team with that good a record has ever been swept in the regular season by their opponents in the playoffs.
Stackhouse, big shot right there to quiet the crowd momentarily. It's the largest crowd in Warriors franchise history. 20,629. They've packed them in every nook and cranny here. Richardson. Jackson for 3. Wow. And Beatrice with the save, but right to Howard.
Dallas has numbers if they want it.
But obviously, Avery Johnson wants to slow it down.
Stephen Jackson, I don't know if he's feeling the effects of that Game 2 ejection, but he's been way off today.
Block, Stockhouse knocked away. Jackson just 2 of 8 from the field so far.
But the question, John, is does he have the mental acuity to be successful at this level?
Richardson. What a night Richardson's having.
He does. Jason Richardson. That's a big-time player.
Bill, that's a great question you ask. If I knew what acuity meant, I'd answer it.
Richardson with 22. Lead back up to 17. Terry flips it up short.
Well, this guy Beatrice can play. The amazing thing is you can't tell if he's right or left-handed.
Jackson to the basket and foul. They just can't stop them.
Can't stop them. There's a glazed look on this Dallas Maverick team that I haven't seen all season long. A team that ran roughshod through the NBA, beating everybody at will. They have no answer for this Warrior attack.
It's a game of speed and quickness. That's why at the end of game At the end of the first quarter of Game 2 in Dallas, when the Mavericks had fought back to trail 30-28, the great Maverick fans, they rose as one and gave their Mavericks a standing ovation and say, yeah, you're finally playing. But right now, they are just getting torched.
And you see, it has just been a wonderful night here for these Warrior fans, packing it in. It's a team that's played well on this home floor all season long. Payton's offensive rebound. Nowitzki, meanwhile, getting a breather. Richardson stripped and stoned. And as you said, John, that's the way Dallas is going to get back in this game. It's on the defensive end.
They can't keep giving up offensive rebounds, particularly on a free throw. Every possession very critical now when you're down 18 with just 5:40 to go in the third.
Josh Howard. And Howard in double figures. Howard now with 12.7 boards.
If you're the Warriors, keep the pace up. Don't get complacent or slow down at all.
Richardson, hop step, short. Baron Davis's crossover is quite sharp tonight.
He himself admitted today that he doesn't know if his knee is strong enough to hold up for what it's going to take.
Howard drives, and he's fouled by Richardson, so Josh Howard will shoot a few. And you mentioned about Baron Davis. He had the left knee surgery back in about mid-February. Missed around 15 games because of the left knee problems. Also missed some games with a rib muscle. So he only played in 63 games. Didn't play a lot during the season with Jason Richardson because he was out. Obviously only played half a year with the likes of Steven Jackson and Al Harrington. So this team under first-year head coach Don Nelson, obviously second stint, but first year, for them to gel, it was a struggle at times. And then at the end of the season, it just all started to come together.
And Baron Davis, with his halftime interview with Jim Gray, which was brilliant when he talked about his grandmother warning him not to get thrown out. Baron was raised by his grandmother in South Central Los Angeles before going across town to Santa Monica at Crossroads High School before ending up at UCLA, where he became a legend.
Drives to the basket, inside. He is unstoppable going to the basket. 17-point lead. Davis has 18 points.
And Jason Terry, even though he's got Matt Barnes on him, has not been able to do anything in terms of getting by the perimeter defense of the Warriors.
Howard. Triple teamed. And a foul called. Barnes called for the personal.
The dribble penetration of Baron Davis is unbelievable, and his ability to finish, hang in the air, those are not easy shots. He puts English on the basketball. He's got great strength, takes a little hit from Jop. Baron Davis's ability to get into the lane is what the Warriors are all about. He either finishes or he can find open shooters. Tonight has been Jason Richardson. And the Dallas Mavericks, they're going to have to go to Devin Harris to see if he can stay in front of Baron Davis.
They are discombobulating the Mavericks in front of our eyes. This is one of the great free throw shooting teams really ever. You have the way that Mark Cuban and Avery Johnson, Don Nelson have employed the free throw coach who comes in and always has them right at the top. And right now, they look dazed and confused.
They're 14 of 19 from the line. But it's this end of the floor that's been the biggest problem. Barnes, dangerous pass, dropped with the deflection. But still Warriors ball with 9 on the shot clock.
Matt Barnes is playing with a very sore right hand. Heavily taped. He would not shake anyone's hand prior to the game, and he's coming out. He's frustrated. This guy, Barnes, Sacramento native, plays his best in the biggest of games.
By the way, he shook my hand. Obviously, he's got some bitterness towards you, Bill. 16-point lead, 4.5 to play in the third. Davis from outside. Petrus takes it away. Richardson for 3. And it's a 19-point lead, the largest of the game.
And Avery Johnson just turns his back and walks away. The players are looking for a timeout.
A technical foul has been called.
I think it was Josh Howard, Mike.
Davis will go to the line.
Great hustle play, Mikel Petrus. What a rebound. Again, another hustle play made by the Warriors.
The Dallas Mavericks are trailing by 20.
They're on the ropes now, and if you're the Warriors, you have to go for the kill. Feed the crowd here, take care of business, and get ready for Sunday night's critical game.
So Howard with the technical. We still have over 16 minutes.
Okay, point out which Maverick is going to lead this recovery.
That's the beauty of sports, Bill. We get to watch and see. Turnover, number 10. Well, maybe not on that possession.
But generally, for rallies to happen, somebody has to be playing well.
Right now, Nowitzki's on the bench. Devin Harris back in. Petrus. You almost expect that to bounce up and go back in again. Here's Barkley. Nice feed to George. George looked like he got hit in the head, but he threw it away.
Interesting fast break. Take it up the sideline.
Richardson. Nice. Oh, nice pass, and Petrus is fouled.
That is such pretty basketball.
It's almost, Bill, just watch it. It looks like the Warriors have 6 guys out there. There's always somebody open. And Nowitzki will come back in the game.
We've become so numb to the style of play where guys get the ball, turn and look at the coach and say, what do I do now? To come up the court, somebody's signaling with 17 different plays and options. This is running, beautiful, creative, imaginative basketball, emblematic of San Francisco and California.
So Petrus misses the first. TNT tomorrow, game 4 between the Pistons and the Magic, followed by game 3 of the Cavs and Wizards. Coverage begins at 2:30. ABC on Sunday, a pair of game 4s. Bulls look to eliminate the Heat, followed by the Suns and the Lakers. Coverage begins at 12:30. And then NBA TV Monday, game 4 of the Cavs-Wizards series. Coverage begins at 7. John Barry, you know, we've talked all night long about how, yes, Golden State was only 42 wins. Yes, they're an 8th seed, but because of the circumstances of the season, they're much better than their record and their seed. But at the same time, are you shocked at how they're dominating right now?
I'm not shocked that they have 82 points here with 3 to go in the third. I'm shocked that the Mavericks have 61. The Golden State Warriors have done it on the defensive end. The Mavericks are totally befuddled. They have no idea where to go with the basketball.
I concur wholeheartedly, and I'm asking, where is Dirk Nowitzki? If you're the MVP, this is where you bring your team back.
There he is, gets the foul. He has 18 points, and he'll get a chance for a couple more with just over 3 minutes remaining here in this third quarter.
Like, impact that's non-existent. He's got nice numbers, but other than the first 3 minutes of the game when he was the only Maverick that scored, there's been no control whatsoever.
They're going to call a technical foul. Another one. Stackhouse gets called for it. Of course, in game 2, it was the Warriors who lost their composure. Now the Mavericks are losing their composure. You gonna get one? So Jackson will shoot this time.
Baron Davis walking by with his lips shut. He just said, zip the lip. I'm not getting one.
Let's send it over to Jim Gray.
Mike Jerry Stackhouse continuing to complain now. Devin Harris over to complain as well. Referee told him, get away from me. I don't want to hear it. That was the call. Stackhouse proceeded. Gave him a second warning. Third time he got the tee. So 3 times and you're out in this sport as well. That's what precipitated and that's what happened, Mike.
Another missed free throw. Thank you, Jim. Again, this officiating crew has 55 years of NBA experience. It's a veteran crew.
I love what Don Nelson said at the end of game 2 when they asked him about the refs. Said this is a great crew. I have no problem with their integrity, their work ethic. With all the whining and complaining that we have in the game.
Goaltending call.
That was a class stand-up act by Don Nelson.
2:49 remaining in this third. 82-63.
Now that was Devin Harris that I know. His speed has been completely negated by this Warrior team. He is not able to get to the basket. These Mavericks have got to get something going. These Warrior fans are going nuts. Warriors by 19.
ESPN Bund's presentation of the NBA playoffs. Brought to you by Taco Bell. Think outside the bun. And Lenovo. Play the NBA Lenovo Stat Challenge powered by Windows Vista. Enter at ESPN.com, keyword Lenovo.
Fred Hickman here with his Taco Bell studio update. In case you missed it a little bit earlier, Ben Gordon and the Chicago Bulls went nuts in Miami. Gordon had 27 points, so the Bulls are up 3-0 in the series. Guys, back to you.
All right, Fred, one up-and-coming team, the Bulls, looking to knock off the Miami Heat. And this other up-and-coming team, the Golden State Warriors, now with a 19-point lead. They've been up by as many as 21. Mavericks losing their composure a bit. Stackhouse and Howard each with technical fouls.
How about the finals participants from last year? One really on the ropes, and the other one about to be on the ropes.
And it turns out with Chicago that last season, end of the season loss to New Jersey has been the best thing that's ever happened to him.
Poor Al Harrington. 4 for 26 in the series.
Just can't get it going. George, the height advantage on Davis, but Davis very strong. Got a little over-aggressive there, and he picks up his third foul. You know, John, you always hear about the NBA's about matchups. Is this just one of those matchups that the Golden State has their number?
Evidently so. What is this going to be? 8 of 10 if they go on to win this game. And Don Nelson, this is what he does. He's an absolute master at this. And what he does is he gets the team that he's playing against to match up with him. That's exactly what he wants you to do. This team got healthy towards the end of the year. We talked about it, 16-5 over the last 21 games. And they're for real. And they get a real bona fide big man on this team that's with a back-to-the-basket post game. Look out for this team in the Western Conference.
John, this is far from the first time we've seen Don Nelson do this. He used to do this regularly to Larry Brown when Larry Brown was coaching in San Antonio. He used to do it regularly to Jerry Sloan in the Utah Jazz. And another trip to the free throw line for the homestanding Golden State Warriors.
Every team in the league seems to have one other team that they have trouble with, that they just can't beat. For Dallas, in the last year or so, it has been the Golden State Warriors, and it's a Warrior team. As Avery Johnson didn't like that particular call. Golden State is just a team that has so much confidence against the Mavericks. Again, was back in '94, last time the Warriors were in the playoffs. That's when Denver beat Seattle, and then in '99, the Knicks defeated the Heat.
But Mike, you said it earlier. That's a 5-game series. And a 5- and a 7-game series is night and day. That fourth victory is very difficult to come by. We'll see if the Warriors can do it.
And all Dallas has to do is win one game here, and they're right back in total control.
And have the home court once again.
Which is why Golden State absolutely has to win both games this weekend.
Buckner, block shot. And a loose ball foul will go against Dirk Nowitzki.
Dallas has not played good ball down the stretch. People have jumped off their bandwagon about a month ago as San Antonio surged, as Phoenix was coming alive.
Well, they haven't really had a big game in a long time. And they had some of those matchups with Phoenix, obviously, that were fun. But it seemed like they clinched the division title months ago and clinched home court a long time ago.
We talk about it. It's just like last year's Detroit Pistons. This team won 64 games. I'm talking of Detroit. They clinched the #1 seed in the Eastern Conference and the overall NBA with about 15 games to go. And they played no meaningful games the rest of the way. They got in the playoffs, and that's where they played their worst basketball of the year. And that could be something that's happening to Dallas Mavericks right now.
That's why it's so important that the leader, Dirk Nowitzki, the MVP candidate, he has got to change things around here. I mean, you can't sit here and say, well, this is Jerry Stackhouse's fault, this is Devin Harris' fault, or Jason Terry's fault. I mean, this comes to the big guys.
Minute and a half remaining here in this third. This is a Mavericks team that's been a tough team all season long. They're in a real dogfight right now. Harris. Ellis threw it right back at him. And Ellis again. Oh! Inside! And a foul.
The house would have come down.
And that play brought Mike Breen out of his seat.
Jason Richardson on the floor with eyes on the back of his head, finding Ellis, who drew the foul.
Mike, I had no idea you were quick.
Boy, this team is fun to watch.
Rejected by Monte Ellis.
Great block there. Great defense again.
The free throw misses by Golden State. If they were making all these free throws, this crowd would already be on the court.
We need a medic. Mike Breen has pulled a hammy. We know he has a propensity to get hurt in that 35 and under league. I mean, over league. I'm sorry.
That was a great play by Jason.
That was awesome.
This team, the way they play down the stretch, they get you out of your seat as Nowitzki takes his seat right now. Nowitzki had the strong start. As Ellis makes it a 20-point game again.
The amazing thing is that Golden State is so much faster than Dallas, and yet they don't even take advantage by putting full court pressure in the backcourt against the Mavericks, who have trouble getting the ball up the court.
Austin Crozier has come into the game and draws the foul. Crozier had not played in the first 2 games of the series, but Avery Johnson right now trying to find something. Crozier played a bunch of playoff games during his years with the Indiana Pacers, including one trip to the finals.
Austin hasn't played much, and evidently hasn't been in the sun much either, Bill. Got to enjoy this California beautiful weather we're having.
And what a day it was on the Golden Shore here.
What a nice.
Knocking on heaven's door.
Got my 10-mile run in, and wow, it was gorgeous.
You can run 10 miles. Why aren't you still playing in the NBA?
That was a joke, Bill.
I'm amazed that we haven't seen Devin Harris and Jason Terry together. I mean, if you're going to have to combat the speed of Golden State, why not bring your 2 fastest guys, the only 2 guys who can really keep up with the blazing quickness of the Warriors?
Ellis, as we get under the 1-minute mark here in the 3rd quarter. Harris does a good job staying with him, but draws the foul. Continuation. Devin Harris yelling, and he gets hit with a technical foul. And the Mavericks becoming unraveled.
This is not unusual for Monte Ellis to make these off-balance shots. One of the great high school players the state of Mississippi has ever seen, from Jackson, Mississippi, and scored nearly 40 points a game over 4 years. The technical goes down by Stephen Jackson, who is the Warriors' best numerical free throw shooter.
Everybody talking about how the Warriors lost their cool in game 2 and how would they respond tonight. I never would have thought that the Dallas Mavericks would lose their cool and be down 20-plus points going into the 4th quarter.
You know, Del Harris, there's some fans behind the Mavericks bench that are really giving it to the Mavericks. Del Harris turned and said something to him. It's Golden State now with their largest lead of the game. Harris to the basket. Crozier right there and puts it in. Richardson with a terrific rejection. And a delay of game warning called against Dallas for touching the ball after it went through.
Devin Harris just so determined on that play. Avery Johnson can only sit there with his head in his hands. The only thing he's yet to do is put his hand over his eyes.
There's about a 1.5 seconds difference between the shot clock and game clock. Once again, this crowd, 20,000 plus on its feet. Stolen by Harris. Nice defensive play and the layup. And that's the way the Mavericks need to get back in this game. Final seconds. Barnes stolen by Harris again. Ellis at the buzzer. Again, you almost expect that to go in.
But nice competitive response by Devin Harris. Gets called for the foul. The technical, and comes right back with 2 nice buckets.
Golden State, though, still in complete control as we head to the 4th quarter. The Golden State Warriors care about the community. Al Harrington, recently honored with the NBA Community Assist Awards, been a prominent figure in the Oakland community since he arrived. Recently, he helped orchestrate one of the Feed the Children's largest food distributions, which took place at the Allen Temple Baptist Church, purchasing 3 truckloads of food for over 1,500 families. NBA Cares continuing our tradition of basketball and service to the community. As we send it over to Jim Gray.
All right, Mike, thank you very much. I'm with Chris Mullin. He is the vice president in charge of basketball operations here for the Warriors. Chris, what was your expectation level of your team coming into this series?
Well, it's a 1 seed against an 8 seed, so we've got a tough task ahead of us. We know that. We just got to play all out, let it all hang out, and get lucky. That's what we have to do.
What made you reach out to Don Nelson and bring him back here as coach?
Well, that was simple. I mean, he's the best coach I've known in the NBA. And we've got a long-term relationship both on and off the court. That was a no-brainer.
He keeps saying that Dallas is a better team. Do you believe Dallas is a better team in this series?
No question about it. They're the best team in the league. And like I said, I think, we just got to go out there, try and play above our heads, and hope for the best.
Does the best team always win?
Usually in a 7-game series, yes.
Chris, we appreciate your time. Thanks for coming on with us.
My pleasure, Jim. Thank you.
All right. Back to you, Mike.
All right, Davis goes down. Chris Mullin played for Don Nelson here at Golden State, and Mullin says that Don Nelson saved not only his career but saved his life. Mullin went through some tough personal problems off the court, dealing with some alcohol problems, and Don Nelson stuck with him, and those two have a very strong bond. Nelson has said that he gets the same feeling working with Mullin as he gets working with his son Don, of course, he's worked with for so many years. Those two with a special relationship. Petrus comes out of nowhere with the block shot.
Don Nelson just 18 days away from his 67th birthday.
Jackson. The lead back to 20. Off of Nowitzki. Here's Jackson down the other end. Foul.
This is an unbelievable turn of events. Baron Davis as mad as can be. And Steven Jackson didn't make that layup. That would have buried the Mavericks on the spot.
You see the smiles on the Warrior players as Jackson will go to the line. Again, we know all about Golden State and the way they've matched up well, but this is stunning how dominating they are.
Like it's been this way ever since March 4th and 5th. March 4th in Washington. Very controversial finish to a game where a gift to the Wizards cost the Mavericks a victory. They go into Detroit the next night. Detroit's been the best team in the Eastern Conference record-wise all season long. Detroit runs them out of the building. Runs them out with a 20, 30-point victory. And ever since then, there has been no stopping these guys.
93-71. Well, this crowd has just been in a celebratory mood all night long.
When was the last time they sat down?
I think they're taking turns. Each section gets to sit for a couple of minutes. Maurice Ager just checked in. It shows you Avery Johnson going deep in his bench. Ager, the rookie from Michigan State, hits the 2-pointer. Now, what is Avery Johnson doing here? He's not resting guys, obviously, as Davis gets hit in the head. Is he just trying to put somebody out there who's going to play with a spark?
I think he's trying to find somebody who's going to show the needed enthusiasm to compete against this surging Warrior squad.
And Nowitzki just picks up his 5th foul.
You've got too many Mavericks walking around with long faces. They have had their hats handed to them here in California.
Well, I think he wants to send these guys a message. Jerry Stackhouse, Devin Harris, Devin George. This is just not acceptable. You have to play better, or you're not going to play at all.
There's Barnes. 3-pointer won't go from Petrus. And Nowitzki will come the other way.
Matt Barnes is the biggest guy on the court for the Golden State Warriors. And they have a 20-point lead over, according to Chris Mullin, the best team in the NBA.
Well, Mullin very wise. Another turnover as Barnes takes it away. They're not trying to get too comfortable in their spot despite how well they're playing. Jackson to the basket. Nobody steps in. 95-73. They have 95 points with 9.5 minutes to go.
Mike, it's gotten so bad that Avery Johnson has stopped calling timeouts.
You can't call Timeouts you don't have, because he's had to use so many. This Maverick team is just unraveling.
Hager, foul, shot won't go, and Maurice Hager will go to the line. You know, you think back too, you talk about their run, talking about the Golden State Warriors. Back in early March, they lost the game. You know, we talked about some of those rough losses. Don Nelson came out publicly and he said, I feel responsible. I thought I was going to get this team to the playoffs, but it doesn't seem like I'm going to be able to do it. I feel like I failed. It was like a concession speech.
And that moment with the same reaction that he had after game 2, where he blamed his own players and said the referees were right in what they did. That's the kind of thing that forces these guys to grow up in a hurry.
Well, you talk to him about some of the keys to his success as you see the consecutive years since they've won a series way back in 1991. As we said, they were in the playoffs in 94, but Phoenix swept them in 3. Nelson, you can't make excuses with Don Nelson, and he doesn't accept them. As Nowitzki falls down.
Don Nelson is 3-time NBA Coach of the Year, and he is showing why.
Second all-time in wins behind Lenny Wilkins. He said this is one of the most enjoyable seasons of his career. And you know he's got to take a little extra pride in beating his former team. Jackson. Shot won't go on a rebound, even though his son Donnie still works for the Mavericks.
Yes, but there's litigation between Don Sr. and the Dallas Mavericks about some deferred compensation, $6 million on the table.
It did not end well, his relationship with Mark Cuban. The two don't really want to talk about it publicly. As Terry knocks down a three-pointer. Terry just 3 of 10. Check that 4 of 11 from the field. Three and a half gone by here in the fourth.
Now the Warriors are starting to walk up the court. That's not their game. They're not going to play a stand-around half-court game and be able to beat this Mavericks squad.
Davis, like game 1, has been terrific. Barnes. And Petrus called for a loose ball foul. And we'll have a timeout. 8 minutes remaining in the fourth. The Golden State Warriors trying to take a 2-1 lead in this best-of-7 series.
While you're enjoying the game in Oakland, Raider fans are wondering, will that first man you saw, Jamarcus Russell, be the #1 overall pick of the Oakland Raiders in the 72nd NFL Draft? Coverage begins 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific on Saturday. For now, hoops in Oakland. Mike Green.
Thanks, Chris Berman, here in Oakland. Some celebs on hand. Kate Hudson and some guy. Owen Wilson. They're part of this capacity crowd. Our GMC game track, John Barry.
Well, it's been a tough night for Dirk Nowitzki. Got off to a great start. Got no help from the rest of his teammates. And Dallas is completely unraveled. And Jason Richardson has gotten off the snide. Didn't have a great games 1 or 2. But tonight he's been sensational. And points in the paint. 50-26 for the Golden State Warriors. Baron Davis going anywhere he wants. Layup after layup for this Golden State team who simply outplayed the Mavericks tonight.
Nowitzki inside. Block. Jackson got a piece of it. But then a foul. So 2 free throws for Nowitzki. He got whacked in the head, as you see. Petrus.
A loose ball foul there, I think, Mike.
Yep. So he's not going to shoot. Excuse me. It's only the 4th team foul, not the penalty yet.
Avery Johnson continues to go with some of his deep reserves.
And an offensive foul. Jason Terry moving screen. What's going through his mind right now?
What happened to my team? Why did they leave their game back in March?
But this is an important 7.5 minutes. If they don't come back to win this game, something positive has got to happen as Jason Richardson continues his onslaught. But they have to have something positive to happen. This team is befuddled. They don't have an answer for this Warrior team.
John, whenever you go down, you have to extract a price from the opposition. And that has not happened here tonight. And that's one of the things that really hurt the Miami Heat, in that they could never put any sort of pain onto the Chicago Bulls. And Mavericks are finding themselves in a just absolutely awful situation. Stepped out of bounds.
So Petrus turns it over. Game 4, by the way, would be Sunday right back here. Again, Golden State all year long. This is one of the toughest places to play. There you see Petrus putting his foot back. 30-11. It's tied for their 6th best home record in the NBA and their best home record in 15 years.
Like, it's not good when both of your feet go out of bounds.
Howard in and out. And Jackson for the rebound.
30 home wins is great. Just 12 on the road. One of those wins was at Dallas, and then, of course, they won game 1.
Well, they had to win 9 of the last 10 games to even get into the playoffs.
Davis fires away. Hits a 3. Baron Davis. They're back up by 22.
Avery Johnson has seen enough.
And yet another standing ovation here in Oakland. The Mavericks are in big trouble.
ESPN's presentation of the NBA playoffs, brought to you by GMC. We are professional grade.
6:15 remaining, 4th quarter in Oakland. The Warriors dominating the Mavericks. Time for our Nestle stat track. And some of the numbers. What has been dominating.
Overwhelming dominance. 52-39. It's plus 13 on field goal percentage, points in the paint. The bigger, more experienced Mavericks just getting pummeled. And then the Warriors out in transition, plus 15. The Golden State Warriors, the youngest of the 16 teams in this year's NBA playoffs.
And there's the Warrior with the longest tenure, along with Donald Foyle. Foyle actually a little longer. Foyle hasn't played yet tonight. Richardson and Foyle went through a lot of seasons where it ended just at the end of the regular season as Howard is fouled from behind. And Baron Davis comes up hobbling a little bit, grabbing his right leg.
The amazing thing about the Warriors being the youngest team in the league is that John Nelson is the 3rd oldest coach to ever coach in the NBA playoffs, behind Hubie Brown and Chuck Daly, both Hall of Famers.
There you see the worst loss ever by a #1 seed. Miami back in '99. That's when the Knicks were the 8th seed. And that was one of those 8 seed. They weren't really an 8 seed.
Right.
And it was the lockout year. And they were a team that had a mess of injuries and came back at the end. Same thing like Golden State. The injuries, they never able to get it together.
That Knicks team went to the finals, which is a distant memory these days in New York.
So the Warriors have a chance at the finals. They got a long ways to go before they win this series. Again, you can't count the Mavericks out. They've been the best all season long, but right now they are certainly back on their heels. Richardson.
Now imagine if the Golden State Warriors are shooting the 3-ball well. They're just 5 of 20 tonight. And yet they still lead by 20. 20% from the 3-point line, 25%.
John, we're told by Jim Gray that the last huddle for the Golden State Warriors, John Nelson was instructing his team to start playing the clock a little bit. I don't think that's a good idea. This team is about running. They're not going to get tired. This game's not till Sunday night. You've got 48 hours to get better. Just put the hammer down and keep that fear in the Dallas Mavericks.
Nowitzki hits a pair. 20 points, 11 rebounds for Nowitzki. Mavericks, again, the shooting numbers 39% from the field, as opposed to 51% for Golden State. Davis to the basket, blocked, but a foul. Josh Howard wide-eyed looking at Joe Forte, but that's Howard with his second foul.
I had the privilege of watching Baron Davis before he hurt his knee in his second year at UCLA. And while he is still an incredible player, to see him then without that limitation of the sore left knee, it was just a thing of beauty. And he was throwing dunks down in people's faces time and time again.
He's getting MVP chants. Every team the fans throw it out there as he knocks it down. He's been the Warriors MVP. He remembers being an opponent here. He said that when he was an opponent coming in here as a member of the Hornets, the fans were obnoxious. He said they're not so obnoxious to him anymore.
These fans are great.
They have been superb all night long. Davis knocks it away from Ager. Devin George can't connect. And a loose ball foul will go against Golden State. Matt Barnes is fouled out.
Well, they brought Devin George in here to be a defender, and particularly to guard Amari Stoudemire for the Phoenix Suns that they felt like they were going to get to as Matt Barnes checks out. Devin George, 3 of 13 coming into the game tonight, and he hasn't made a shot this evening. You know, at some point, this Dallas team, each person has to say, you know what? I'm going to guard my man, because every single guy out here is getting blown by. Guys are having to help. Baron Davis is making a living at the rim. Kickouts to wide open shooters. You have to say, I'm going to stop my man. My man is not going to get by me. This Dallas team is a good defensive team throughout the whole regular season, and they haven't shown any of it in 3 games. It's time to man up and say, I'm not going to let it happen. My man's not beating me.
John, the core elements to winning any basketball game where you have to outwork, outlast, and outthink your opponents. That has not happened at all for the Dallas Mavericks. You have to deny guard penetration, and you have to control the backcourt and the paint.
You see those defensive numbers, Bill, again. They've become one of the best defensive teams in the league, but they have absolutely no answer for this Warriors squad.
Well, they already have 102 here tonight. They gave up 111 during the regular season to the Warriors.
As Howard knocks it down. The Warriors have been up by double figures the entire second half, pretty much from middle of the second quarter on. So this game has not been close at all. And a foul call on Ager. Mavs in the penalty, so Jackson to the free throw line.
You asked Avery Johnson what he said to his team after game 1, and he said, I'll see you at practice tomorrow. Let's go get better. I think there might be a little more in that speech tonight as we get ready for game 4, because this team needs a major overhaul in attitude and performance.
And when the #1 seeded team in the entire land has an attitude problem in the 3rd game of the playoffs, that is not good.
I don't know if you could say they have an attitude
problem. They've lost their cool tonight, and they're not playing their game. So they are not mentally, maybe not attitude, but their mental approach has got to get better.
I have not seen the emotional commitment out of the Mavericks that it takes to win these ever difficult road games.
Ager fires away. And Jackson the rebound. All right, 19-point game with under 4.5 to go. Golden State just can kind of cruise. When do you take your key guys out? Make sure they don't get hurt.
I just leave them out there and play. I get some more of my key guys out there and see if they're going to do anything. But I think whoever wins Sunday night's game is going to win this series.
Again, all it takes is for the Mavericks to win Sunday, even it up 2-2, and they've got the home court right back.
Right. They needed to get one of these 2, but I'm sure they didn't anticipate coming in here and getting blown out and completely get taken out of their game.
That's why this crowd right now is so important. Drive them. Push the home team. Don't ever let them rest.
The crowd setting an NBA playoff record for most standing ovations. A dominating performance from the Golden State Warriors as they lead by 19. Baron Davis, what a playoff run he's had. One of the great beards right now in the NBA. There's been some pretty good ones, Bill. We thought we'd take a look back. There's an intimidating beard in Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
The greatest player I ever played against.
Now there's a cool beard from Walt Clyde Frazier. And there's a, well, oh, baby.
Whoa. Oh, my God.
That is the worst beard in the history of Western civilization. Maybe the only beard that ever made Bob Dylan's beard look good.
Oh, my God. I thought that was Bjorn Borg for a minute.
And speaking of Dylan,
as Davis misses, we weren't speaking of Dylan.
but I was, because you've been making the big deal about they haven't been in the playoffs for 13 years. Everybody thought the last big dance here was in 1994.
Right.
The real dance was back. The real last dance was back in November 25th, 1976, just across the bay at Winterland. The band closed it down with Bob Dylan.
All right, thank you very much. 3.5 remaining here in the fourth. 104-87. All right, how about for Golden State, when do you take your starters out? And Jackson gets inside, stripped of his foul.
You take him out now because Avery's already capitulated here. And the sad thing is, for Dallas, is that Dirk Nowitzki started so well. He had 8 points in the first 4 minutes, but he's only had 12 in the entire game since then, while the Warriors' entire starting five is in double figures. You're talking Richardson with 27, 17 of those in the first half. Steven Jackson with 14. Beadridge, 10. Then Ellis and Davis, 14 and 24, respectively.
And you look now in the Western Conference, Golden State ready to take a 2-1 edge. Houston leading 2-1. That's been a strong series. San Antonio losing one game at home against Denver. And, of course, the Lakers, the big victory. How about in the East earlier tonight? Chicago beating Miami.
Wow.
The defending champs, one game away from elimination. And now the other team, as you pointed out, John, from the NBA Finals, now in some real struggles in this first-round series.
John, do you think Phoenix is done?
I don't. But I think your Miami Heat are done that you picked to go to the finals.
The Miami Heat are done.
George lost it.
That was a bad hit.
Jackson for three. Rebound Petrus. Even now, they're still out hustling the Mavericks.
And only some of the fans have finally sat down, but they're getting right back up. They are driving this train all the way.
They waited 13 years between playoff games here in Oakland, and they have been treated to a wonderful performance by the home team. Richardson, bang! 30 points for Jason Richardson.
And you know who's got a huge smile on his face? Franklin Muley, the former owner, sitting to our right with his trademark hat on. What a gentleman, what a leader.
He's not the only one with a big smile. Petrus stepped out of bounds again. Well, he stepped out on one side.
He walked. I was wrong. I'm sorry.
Dial a violation. There's Franklin Muley. The guy that made it happen. The championship team in '75.
Now some of the key players coming out. Jackson sits down. As we're under the 2-minute mark. Both teams have emptied their benches. Ager. And again, we touched on this earlier. What's the key turnaround for the Mavericks to come back and win on Sunday? What's the number one thing they have to do better?
I think defend Baron Davis. Keep him out of the paint. Somebody's got to stay in front of him. His scoring ability in the paint and his ability to kick to open shooters. They didn't even shoot the ball well from three-point line like we pointed out earlier, but they're getting wide open shots. This Maverick team is getting picked apart defensively, and if they don't play good D, they're going down 3-1 and they're going back home.
You see Davis exhorting the fans out, also saying, keep my lip closed after being ejected from game 2. He said he let his teammates down. As a foul down low, let his teammates down by getting ejected in game 2. He certainly didn't let them down tonight.
Baron Davis numbers tonight, 24 points after the magnificent game 1 performance. A game 2 embarrassing meltdown and the ejection. This is the hardest kind of game to come back from, though, if you're the Dallas Mavericks. You get pounded in game 1 where the other team at home the first game at home. The fans are just going to be riding them all week long. And now you got to somehow find the emotional stability to come back and turn everything around.
You know what? I'm going to disagree with you there, Bill. I'd rather lose like this than lose a close game.
A lot of players will tell you that it's tougher to sleep after 1 point. But the fact that this is a team that has managed it pretty good a couple of times, that's what makes it a little different.
I'm not saying anything past history, but I played with the Sacramento Kings, and we played the Utah Jazz in a first-round series. We got beat by 40 in Game 1 in Utah, and we came back and won Game 2. Sometimes it's easier to get rid of that game, put it out of your mind.
How'd the series turn out?
We lost in the fifth and deciding game. Vlade Divac had a 3-foot jump hook that rimmed out in regulation and lost in overtime. And Utah went to the finals that year. So
coming up on a minute remaining, Greg Buckner way off the mark. Harrington to the rebound. And this crowd will continue to celebrate. Largest crowd in Warriors franchise history. Over 20,600 in the first NBA playoff game in Oakland in 13 years. And did the Warriors treat their fans to something special tonight?
And the season will be on the line for both teams on Sunday night.
All 5 starters in double figures for Golden State. Barea blocked by Jasikevičius. And J.J. Barea will shoot 2. Led by Jason Richardson, who had the 30 points. Baron Davis with 24.
And if you're the Golden State Warriors, you have to realize that the start of that game Sunday night is so critical. You get very few chances in life to really do something. This is one of them. Who is going to come with the game that you saw Jason Richardson from the opening tap tonight? Who's going to be able to play the way Baron Davis did for the Golden State Warriors? Don't sit back and think this is going to be easy and the Mavericks are going to just fold their team.
Well, you talk to the Golden State players, even though they're very confident against this team, they are certainly not getting overconfident. Dallas had to battle back a number of times in last year's playoffs in order to reach the NBA Finals. They'll have to do it again this year if they hope of returning there.
This is just a great style of play for this team. Nothing to lose, no fear. Run, jump, pass it, playing good defense. They're doing everything right now. Don Nelson pushing all the right buttons, and the Dallas Mavericks are in a little bit of trouble.
The amazing thing is that Golden State has been able to sustain this.
Richardson is a 24-second violation. And now Dallas will just inbound again. Golden State leading by double figures the entire second half, blowing out the Dallas Mavericks. Final seconds here in Oakland. There's been standing ovation after standing ovation. And the Warriors now lead it 2-1. Final score, the Warriors 109, the Mavericks 91. Golden State leading this best-of-7 series 2-1. So for Bill Walton, John Barry, Jim Gray, and our entire crew, this is Mike Breen reminding you SportsCenter is coming up next. The NBA playoffs in full swing. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. Good night from Oakland.